Hey there, guys. John Campea here. I'm the senior editor of AMC Entertainment Script to Screen, and I've been doing some thinking about this whole Spider-Man issue. Now, of course, the other day Sony drops the bomb on everybody. It shocked the movie fan world, that Spider-Man 4 has been canceled. Probably nobody more surprised than John Malkovich, who just like the day before was on Italian TV talking about how he's going to be the Vulture. Well, so much for that. And there's been a lot of reaction. When people are passionate about a particular film, there's going to be a lot of reaction, and some passionate reaction, and there has been a lot of reaction. And the other day we did a little bit of video where I got the opinions of some of the other online film pundits about what they thought of it, and they all made some wonderful, fantastic points. And I've had a few people ask me, well, what's my opinion on this? Well, here's what I think. And please remember, I say this as somebody who is a big fan of the Spider-Man series, although I really disliked Spider-Man 3, but a big fan of the Spider-Man series, and as a big fan of Sam Raimi, okay? So remember, keep that in mind. Big fan of Sam Raimi, big fan of the Spider-Man series, all right? I think Sam Raimi leaving the Spider-Man franchise is probably the best thing in the world for both Sam Raimi and for the Spider-Man series. And here's the basic reason why. Sam Raimi is, when you look at all of his films, he's a creative genius. I mean, he is so creative. And I think when you stick any really creative person like Sam Raimi on the exact same project for 10 years, remember, he spent a better part of 10 years of his life on Spider-Man, I think anybody can become creatively tapped. And honestly, when I look at the Spider-Man films, I see a guy who is getting creatively tapped because he was still stuck in that same universe. I think a guy like Sam Raimi needs to explore more. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's look at Peter and Mary Jane. Peter is like in Spider-Man 1, Peter's like, oh, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I think I like Peter, but I've got all these dreams and goals for a career. And that's pretty much how the whole thing went. Then we move on to Spider-Man 2, and Peter's like, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I think I love Peter, but I've got these dreams and all these big career problems. And then we move on to Spider-Man 3, and Peter's like, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I love Peter, but I've got all these dreams and career problems, and we're having relationship problems, and you should spend less time saving people off the street and more time having date nights with me. I mean, so we started getting these repetitive ruts. Also, another problem with the film, another reason I think it's good that they're rebooting the franchise in essence is Kirsten Dunst, who I have no problems with as an actress. Please don't get me wrong. But I think this was a classic case of miscasting. I don't think Kirsten Dunst was the right person, nor was she ever the right person, nor did she ever grow into the role of Mary Jane Watson. And I don't think we ever bought her as Mary Jane, really. But another sign of the creative depletion, if you will, of Sam Raimi from working on the Spider-Man franchise is we see other things just repeating themselves over and over and over again. We get to Spider-Man 1, and we got, I'm the Green Goblin. Deep down, I'm really a nice guy, but I got caught up in something of my own creation that is now manipulating me and forcing me to be a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place, and use that as a trap for Spider-Man. Well, then we move on to Spider-Man 2. I'm Doc Ock. I'm actually a really good guy, but I've got caught up in something of my own creation that's manipulating me and forcing me to be a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. Then we move on to Spider-Man 3. Hey, I'm Sandman. Deep down, I'm really a good-hearted guy, but I've got caught up in some circumstances of my own creation, and now I'm a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. As a matter of fact, in the previous films, they were even setting up another villain, Dr. Connors, who is Peter's university professor missing an arm. Well, everybody who reads the comic books knows that he becomes a lizard. But they were setting him up to be the exact same kind of villain. Hey, I'm the lizard. I'm actually a good guy. But something happened that is now forcing me to be a bad guy. And inevitably, I'm sure he would have kidnapped Mary Jane and dangled her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. Look, there are a lot of things that Spider-Man did right. Obviously, Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest comic book heroes, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. The first Spider-Man is a fantastic one. Spider-Man 3 started to show wear and tear. But overall, it's that creative juices that made Spider-Man so good. And I think ultimately it's when those creative juices start to run out, which I think they would with any director who stays on one franchise for so long. Look at Star Wars with George Lucas or Indiana Jones with Lucas and Spielberg. I think people like Raimi need to stay creative and move on to new things. And I think moving on is the best thing for him, and I think is the best thing for Spider-Man. Look, you may disagree with my opinion, and that's totally cool. I'd love to hear your opinion and what you think of my thoughts, but those are my thoughts. I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I'm a fan of Sam Raimi's, but it was time for him to move on, and I think that's what was best for him and for the franchise. Anyway, I'm John Campea.